essentially, Yogi, and I just want to get your thoughts on kind of overall everything and then where the team goes from here. But it was, Pat Chen said it, like these coaches are no longer able to fulfill their duties was the, I think, the exact quote, due to the requirements set forth by the Washington that all state employees be vaccinated. So they are out, and Jake Dickert, the defensive coordinator, is the acting head coach moving forward. So you've been close to this program. You know a lot of these players. You know a lot of these coaches. Just kind of your thoughts tonight.
Well, I've known Coach Rolovich for almost 15 years now. Got to know a lot of his staff when they were at Hawaii. Was probably the first guy in line saying he'd be great in Pullman for Washington State. And I do a lot of their events in the offseason, as you know, Ash, a lot of their fundraising events, scholarship fundraisers. And I was so excited for the future of this program with him. I think as we looked at the last couple of weeks, you could see where the program is trending. But it is, the phrase, right? It is what it is. Like, this was the reality that he and members of his staff were facing based on the guidelines that you referenced, and Pat Chun and Kirk Schultz, the school's president, referenced earlier tonight in their press conference. Today was the day, right? You had to show proof of vaccination up until the 18th. You couldn't work on the 19th, and that's what happens to be tomorrow. And it just happens to be a game week. Here we are in week 8 of the college football season. They have yet to have a bye. So I look at it, and I feel first and foremost for the players. As a former player, you put so much into the craft, right, to give yourself a chance on Saturday. And now a large part of this program is gone. You look at the position coaches, right, quarterbacks, offensive line, corners. It's a big deal. So they're going to have to deal with that. And I think that they will. I think that players are extremely resolute. I think that this program has shown to be that, Ash. It will not be it wasn't an easy Monday. It won't be an easy Tuesday, but they'll find a way to work through this. And I don't think you get over it. I think you work through it, and that's what sport provides. It provides this moment on Saturdays where you get an opportunity to play through your emotions and do what you love. I'm sure Coach Rolo would want these guys to continue to play as hard as they've shown over the last couple of weeks as now Jake Dickert takes over.
Yeah, and I mean, I think you nail it on the head. I think that's my overarching feeling, even watching Pat Chun and Kirk Schultz and, reading a lot of the stuff that's already been written out there. There's a lot of stuff, but I think ultimately it's about the players, and it's heartbreaking for them. And you could tell the players, and there's, players that are tweeting tonight and sending out social media posts in support of Rolovich and how much he changed their lives. But I think the biggest thing that you feel is that, and Pat Chun said it perfectly, like, this is antithetical to what the Washington State student-athlete experience is and should be about. And it's heartbreaking. And you think about this upperclassmen, and Pat Chun pointed this out too, that they've gone through now the death of 2 teammates, global pandemic, and 3 coaching changes. And that's just, that's a lot. It's a lot. So it's a resilient group, and I am excited to see how this rest of the season plays out. And I think my biggest thing is, I just hope that no matter how you feel about the vaccine mandate, the political nature of all of this that is swept into it, that if you're a Coug fan, that you just support the hell out of this program, and that they deserve it after, everything that kind of they've had to go through, all the uncertainty that's ahead, all the changes that are coming. I hope that Martin Stadium, they only have 2 home games left, but I hope that place is packed and rocking, and people don't sit down for the 3.5 hours, 4 hours, whatever it is that they're out there, because these players deserve your love and support. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, I think the fan base is down with that too. From all the people that I've talked to in that regard, actually, I think we expect to see that this coming weekend and in their final home game a couple weeks from now. I would say this: I've talked to a lot of players throughout the season and throughout my time in the sport where the joy gets taken away from you, right? It could be about the way that you played, the way that you didn't play. Maybe you got benched, you lost your coach. It happens to everybody along the playing journey. And I tell them all the same thing: think back to when you had the most fun as a kid playing. And I asked them to explain the memory to me. And then I said, hey, what did it feel like? Man, it felt fun. I had a blast competing, right? It didn't feel like a job. It didn't feel like the weight of the world or pressure was on me. So hey, try to tap into that. And that's what I would say if I was talking to the team. And I'd imagine the coaching staff is going to be echoing some form of that this week of, hey, in the 2 hours we get to go practice, in the 90 minutes we get to go meet. Like, let's go do what you came here to do, which is to go ball. I mean, there is something to this that it feels immediate because it just happened today, but this was also building, right?
Yeah.
I think everybody around the program, I was there 2 weeks ago for their game against Oregon State. And that was the day, of course, the story with June Jones broke. We confirmed it on air. There was a lot of noise around it then, but it didn't feel like a shock. Like everybody knew what was happening, and you had to imagine the option of what was going to come, and that's where it is now. So I think for the players, if they weren't tweeting that stuff out, Ash, I would be shocked because Coach Rolo has an impact on people. The staff had an impact on people. Like that's why they were such a good fit there. It just happens in this moment in time where we are in the state of Washington and in the world, like it just didn't net out based on decisions that were made. So now for the players, you still want to go ball. You still love wearing those colors. You just still love running out of that tunnel. And that's what I would tap into. Deal with your emotions. It's a good thing. And then go let them fuel you as a player is the better thing that I think could be an outcome of this.
Yeah. And I see some people in the comments asking if players are going to boycott. Pat Chen was asked that, and he said that he's not aware of any players that aren't going to play or stay on the team. Obviously, there's going to be a lot more, I think, that comes out of this. But to all of your points that you just said, I don't think Nick Rolovich would want any of them not to play. I don't think he wants them to not go forward. I think he wants them to win the rest of their games and have a special season. He loves those players, and those players love him. So we'll see what happens. I think as you look forward, and let's spin it forward, Jake Dickert, we've gotten to know him a little bit. I talked to him kind of right when he got the defensive coordinating job, and I'm a big fan of his. He's a really smart guy. He's really thoughtful in the way that he talks about the game and his approach to coaching and just a lot of different things. I've been impressed with him. So for Washington State fans who want to know who their new head coach is, what insight would you have, Yogs?
I think he's the guy for the job in this situation, right? I think let's just look pragmatically first. The coaches that are no longer there's three on the offensive side of the ball, one being, of course, the head coach. So for Brian Smith, who I would assume would be their primary play caller now as the co-offensive coordinator that exists, there's just a lot on his plate if you look at two people that had coordinator titles. So I think giving Jake Dickert the role is probably best served for the situation. I also think the defense is playing at a really high level. I mean, I went and watched the Stanford game this morning, and from Willie Taylor and Ron Stone, and we all know these guys on the edges, they're flying around. This defense is playing like Cougs would be proud of, right? The speed D that they had implemented a couple years ago, it has versions of that and elements of that now, and it's given them a great chance to win. And you can say the same thing about the offense. The way it's been the last couple of weeks has been really impressive. So I think with the limited coaching staff and what I think will be coaching changes, because you're going to have to put people in those meeting rooms in front of those players, I think it's the right move to make Dickert the interim head coach. Now, speaking of the staff that they're going to bring in, I think what Pat Chun said tonight was nails in terms of this scheme. I played in it. It's not just kind of roll the ball out and you can just call an offense. There's rules, there's details to this. So there's not a lot of people that aren't coaching that are savants in the run and shoot. But there are some. They are out there. So for Coug fans and for the players, reinforcements are coming. It's not going to be perfect. You're not going to be able to instantly replace three coaches that have been with you for years since they kind of took over within this program. But they're going to have experts at the craft. And I think at the end of the day, players want to get taught. I believe that. You want to get coached. You want to get coached hard. You want to be put in position to win. It's going to be a little unique, of course, this week just because of the timing of it. But I think as we look in the back half of the season, this team still has a chance to go bowling, make some noise. So I think they'll be in good position. And for me, I'm pleased with the decision they made as the interim head coach. I think Jake Dickert was the guy to put in that position.
Yeah, absolutely. And, kind of just one last thought, like you mentioned that they've got a chance to go bowling. They've got a lot in front of them. I mean, the Pac-12 North is, we'll see what happens with that, but they've won 3 in a row and they're sitting there, and obviously they've got BYU this weekend. And then they're on their road for a couple, and they've got I think their bye week is the first week in November. So certainly thinking of those players tonight and know that it is not an easy road ahead, but they're a resilient group and looking forward to seeing what they're going to be able to play.
I want to
Yeah.
say one last thing though, Ash, on the
Yes.
Washington State thing. I've seen some of the comments on the boycott, as you referenced earlier. Let me talk to the players. You only get so many games. You get 12 guaranteed in a season. And some of you super seniors are so lucky that you have this season based on the crazy year and a half, almost 2 years it has been in this country due to COVID-19. Don't give that up. You will love looking back on this and seeing how tight your team became going through this adverse situation. Trust me on this. I know what the emotion may feel like right now for many of you. I can imagine what it may feel like for some of you. Don't go down that road. I'm not even saying you are. I'm just seeing in the comments here. And for those that are even perpetuating that thought or thinking about that, you're not putting the players first. And we don't exist without the game. So I'm telling you, I'm going to get on my high horse here. It's not worth it to give up the game you work so hard for. You work 8 months to play 12 games. Don't give it up. Don't even flinch on that. Unite, come together, whatever your rallying cry needs to be, make it that and go do your thing.
Amen, Yums. I think that's we'll end it there because that was perfectly said and appreciate you for that.